Okay, hey folks, my name is Mark Locklear. I'm going to be your instructor this semester. So I'm doing this welcome video, and this is going to be for both CSC 151, so that's the Java class, and then CSC 134, C++. The Moodle shells are almost identical, and I run the classes the same way. I generally do a video like this for each class, but the Moodle shells are so similar, and the sort of way I run the classes is so similar. I'm doing a single video for both. So in the Moodle shell, we're going to be looking at we'll be looking at C++, but this is generally everything is going to apply for the Java class too. So first thing I want you to do is I have a how to be successful in this course video in Moodle, and I want you to watch that. In fact, let me go ahead and share my screen just so you can see the Moodle shell. So, and again, this is C++, but you should see the same things. The assignments are going to be different, but generally everything's the same inside the Java class also. But I want you to watch this how to be successful in this course video. And just real quick, I talk about the ways to be successful in the course. There's 3 things, and the order in which you do those 3 things each week is important, which is read the chapter, watch the screencast, and then do the coding exercises. So again, that's a quick, maybe 5-minute video. So when you have a chance, watch that. This course is entirely asynchronous. So what asynchronous means is there's no live sessions. If you have questions, you'll send me emails. If we can't, if I can't help you out via email, then we can do a Zoom chat. But all of the exercises, all the content is loaded into the shell on day 1. So technically, if you wanted to sit down and just like plow through all the content and all the exercises in one sitting in a week or 2 weeks or ever how long it takes, you can work together you can work together work ahead, as far ahead as you like. And in fact, if you see on the side here, you can see the various chapters all the way down through the final exam. So I say that my recommendation is just to take the course 1 week at a time. Stay on the schedule that I've got. Each of the assignments, you'll see I've got a I've got a start date. That's what this date here is, a start date, and then I've got an assignment due date. And that's every week we do a chapter per week. And in the C++ class, I actually split one of the later chapters up into 2 weeks, but generally we're doing a chapter a week. And then each week on Friday at noon, your coding assignments are due. So each week you've got a coding assignment and a quiz. Now the quizzes you can do whenever you like. I don't have a due date set up on those. Now again, my recommendation is to do the quiz, the week we're on that chapter, because obviously the information is going to be fresh in your mind then. But I don't keep due dates on the quizzes. You can do those whenever you like. However, I do have due dates on all of the coding assignments. And again, those are due every Friday at 12 o'clock noon. No exceptions. I say no exceptions. If you want an exception, you need to email me. Generally, I don't accept late work just because, again, we have coding assignments each week. If you start submitting things late, then you get behind, and it tends to snowball over time. So generally my policy is that I don't accept late work. However, if you want an exception to that, email me and I can work with you. But my strong recommendation is just to stay on the schedule that we've got. And again, you've got the flexibility to work ahead if you like. If you've got a big week coming up 2 weeks from now, and maybe you've got a bunch of other assignments to do, or maybe you're going out of town, then yeah, work ahead, get those coding assignments done, and you can turn those in early if you like. Now, I don't grade the work until the assignment is due. So again, as we work through and based on the due dates, generally I grade the same day that stuff is due. So things are due on Friday at noon, and I generally try to get those in. I'll start, if you turn work in, early, I'll usually start on Thursday, maybe grading things and getting, giving you a grade for the assignment, giving you feedback on it. But then usually by Friday, by Friday afternoon, I generally try to have everything graded. So that's usually my goal, and that's good for you because it gives you quick feedback on your work. You know, be sure you're logging in. Generally, you should get, when I give feedback on your assignment, you should get an email notification about that. So be sure you look at that, because I've had students, you know, I've had students that were submitting the wrong thing each week, and they, for whatever reason, I don't know if they weren't checking their email or what the issue is, but they weren't able to, you know, they were getting zeros or getting bad grades, and then, you know, 2 or 3 weeks or even 6 weeks into a course, they finally realize that they're way off track. So be sure you're logging into Moodle, checking your grades, looking at the feedback that you're getting on the assignments. Okay, let's look at the Moodle shell here. So again, a few things at the top. Generally, I'll send an email out every Monday. Usually Monday morning, I'll send an email out just about the coming week's assignment. I usually include a link to the screencast there. So if you can click on that link and watch it, those will be inside the course assignments. But again, you should get an email notification about that. As I mentioned, this welcome video, I'm going to link to it here inside Moodle, but I'm going to email you that. Also, I mentioned how to be successful in this course video. I would strongly encourage you to watch that. There's a student forum here. I'm going to remove this Slack channel, so I don't think we're going to do that this semester. But we've got a student forum here. If you want to post questions, you can certainly do that. Just, you know, obviously use good judgment there. Don't post solutions or anything like that. You can post code snippets or sort of have a conversation about ways to write code, but, you know, don't post the entire assignment there. All of your work should be your own. And then student files are here. And I'll talk more about this sort of the structure of the assignments each week, but those are going to be inside the student files, which includes the book code, and then there's some PowerPoint presentations and other things too. Okay. All righty, week 1, your goal for this week, you should be watching this now. I'm making this Friday before, but your goal for this week should be to complete this getting started quiz. It's just a simple quiz, really just to make sure you're a human being and you've logged into the course, and you know, we're just checking to make sure that you've actually logged into the course and you're there. But it's a real simple quiz with just a handful of questions. You need to complete that by Friday, and then also complete chapter 1, which is for both C++ and Java. Essentially, you're just going to be, let me make sure that I think you're just submitting a hello world program. Yeah. So for both C++ and Java, really your goal is just to get the development environment installed. So again, if it's Java, you're going to be using NetBeans. If it's C++, you'll be using, if you're on Mac, you'll be using Xcode, and then you'll be using Visual Studio. You'll be using Microsoft Visual Studio on for C++. I want to make sure, and I've got a note about it here. This is not Visual Studio Code. Microsoft makes an IDE called Visual Studio Code, and it's very confusing. But it's not. This is not the Visual Studio Code IDE. This is Microsoft Visual Studio. And again, if you click on the link I've got here, and again, this is just for C++ folks. You got I've got a link to the to downloading and installing here. Go ahead and get started on this sooner. In fact, on Monday, you should get started installing your IDE, whether it's NetBeans or Visual Studio. Often it can be a pain. All development environments, when you're first getting started, it's sort of a pain to get them set up and going. So most of the time, 80% of you all won't have any issues at all, and it'll be fine. And there'll be 20% of you that will have, will have some issues you're going to have to work through, and you just have to work with me on it. I'll work with you. So just send me an email if you run into any issues there. And again, the goal for week 1 is to just simply get the IDE installed, and then also create a Hello World program. You'll see that in chapter 1. Okay, let's talk about the structure. I'm just going to go down to a random chapter 4 here. The structure you see here for each week is generally the structure week in and week out. So what it is you'll see a link to the screen a link to the screencast. I may have some screencast code. Sometimes I'll reference code in the screencast, but these are YouTube videos. Generally, I'll take a few minutes and just sort of talk, quote unquote, lecture about the chapter. I'll share my individual thoughts, but the bulk of these screencasts are coding exercises that I'm doing. It's sort of live coding. You're watching me code, and I would encourage you to code along with me. Sometimes I'll take one of the assignments you're going to be doing and I'll sort of get you started on it. I may get you 20%, maybe 50% of the way through just to sort of get you started, and I'll stop there. Sometimes I may just do a contrived exercise where I'm just, again, I'm based on what the chapter is that week. I'm going to be coding based on that. So that's what that general structure looks like. And then if we click on the assignment, again, there's a coding assignment and then a quiz each week. Again, quizzes you can work at your own pace, though my recommendation is to do those the week that you do the coding exercises. This is just an example. Generally, there'll be 3 exercises each week as a part of the coding assignment. So here's the way I try to structure these. Generally, there's sort of a gimme, which is, if you just, really all you, well, it's a gimme, so it's super easy. The second one is you've got an existing program that I'm asking you to modify in some way, and then the third exercise is you're creating an application from scratch. So, for instance, in this case, I'm just asking you to complete exercise 4.2 in the book, and then I'm notice I say try to complete this without looking at the solution. So the book code includes all of the solutions for the exercises that are in the book. So the idea is you can sort of challenge yourself with the exercise in the book, but you've got a solution there to fall back on if you need to look at that. And so this is a typical coding assignment you would get for the week. I'm asking you to complete exercise 4.2 in the book, and again, try to complete it without looking at the solution, but ultimately you can go look at the solution. So try and do that. Give yourself 30 minutes or an hour, at least, or more if you have time, but try to look at it, try to come up with a solution on your own. And then if you get stuck, then maybe look at the solution in the book. The second one here, you can see I'm saying complete exercise 4.3 that's in the book. And then in addition to the book requirements, modify the program. So, in this case, you're writing a guest number application. So again, with this an example, you've got the solution, which for 4.3, which is in the book, and then I'm asking you to modify that, or either maybe modify some existing features, or maybe add some new features to it. And then notice here I'm asking you to complete chapter 4 student project exercises. So this is important. For both Java and C++, there's a what the Mirac book calls project exercises. I've got these loaded as PDFs. So let me go back to the home page here. So you might want to bookmark this because you'll be using it a lot during the semester. Notice I've got this project documents link here, and if you click on that, it'll open a Google Doc up for you. And then these are the student projects. So these don't have any solutions with them, right? You're just going to have to come up with your own solutions for them. And we'll just look at one as an example. There's a tip calculator, and this is pretty typical of what you'll see. They'll usually have maybe some console output, so you can see an example of what it looks like. And then they've got specifications here, and these are important. You need to read the specs. I'll often have students submit something that maybe looks like or acts like what this console example does, but maybe they don't follow the specs to the letter. So be sure you're reading these specs and doing what the specs are asking you to do. Sometimes they may ask you to use specific methods or specific ways of solving problems. Again, the specs are there for a reason. They're there because that's what we're asking you to do. So sometimes you can solve something a different way, and feel free to, you should have the freedom to sort of, you've got some discretion in how you solve problems and coding assignments that I give you. However, if the specifications ask you to do something a specific way, then you need to do it the way that the specs ask you to do it. Okay. That's coding assignments, and that's mostly it. The final exam, generally, let me run down here. So for the final exam, it's 2 parts. Generally, there's a large coding assignment or project that you'll do, although it's usually, I mean, in my opinion at least, it's fairly easy. I mean, to me, you've got coding assignments each week, and that's where the real learning happens. So you sort of get a break at the end with the coding assignment or the project that I give you for the final exam, but it should be something that you can do in a couple of days. And then there's also a 2-part quiz that I take in both of these, both C++ and Java. The Murac book has a question bank. So these questions, just so you know, these questions are not mine necessarily. I didn't come up with them. They come from the Murac question bank. So the final exam has a 2-part final of 25 questions each. So on the quizzes too, these quizzes are hard, so don't feel bad. They're only 25% of your grade. So even if you get a 50, let's say you get a 50 on all the quizzes, you can still get a B in the class. I mean, hopefully you'll do better than that, but just know that these quizzes are not easy, so don't feel bad if you're not knocking them out of the park there. I think I give you 2 attempts on each quiz. Let me click here. Yeah, so you've got 2 attempts on each quiz, and you've got a 1-hour time limit. So and then of course Moodle will take the highest quiz grade of the 2 attempts that you make. So yeah, there's that. Okay, I think that is all I need to say. Yeah, I think that's it. So just a little about myself. I live out in Candler. I'm a web developer with extension.org. You can go there. We've got a handful of applications we maintain. We work for the Cooperative Extension Service, although I'm doing more project management and stuff like that now. Most of my coding that I'm doing, sort of production coding, is side. I've got a few side gigs and just doing some work on the side where I'm doing most of my coding there. My day job is sort of more project management, quality assurance work, that kind of thing. I work for the organization I work for is remote. I actually work for North Carolina State, but we're a remote group of about 15 employees. And so I do, in addition to sort of IT coding stuff, I do just general desktop support and things like that for them. But I've been in technology for about 25 years, I guess, going on close to 30 years now. Started out during doing desktop support, and we were called LAN administrators back then. LAN was local area network, and that got into quality assurance work during basically a software tester, and did that for about 10 years, and then started coding in 2008. So I've been doing that for about 12 years. Yeah, I guess that's all about me. That's all it's worth sharing. I'm looking forward to both of these classes. I hope you learn a lot. My philosophy with the classes I teach is that, and again, this is true for C++ and Java, is that I'm here to teach you software development. Now, we're going to use Java to do that. We're going to use C++ to do it, but I sort of think of this as a higher level kind of thing. The algorithms that you learn, the techniques and the processes and those things, I try to teach them in such a way that they can be applied to any programming language. Chances are if you go on to be a software developer, you probably won't be a Java or C++ developer. I mean, some of you may, but there's a good chance you'll be doing some other language. So whether it's Python or PHP or Ruby or Clojure or JavaScript or Node, the things change every week. Regardless of what the language is, the idea is, and my hope is that you'll be able to take the concepts and the processes and the things that you learn in these classes and apply them to the other languages that you may be programming in. Okay, that's it for now. I'm excited about the semester, and I will see you online.